Hi, I'm Ginger Riddle. I'm here with Joe Wilson, candidate for Leavenworth City Commission. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Tell us what skills, experience, background you bring that would benefit the City Commission and the residents of Leavenworth.
Sure. So I've been a resident of Leavenworth since 1985. I served in corrections for a year. I served in the sheriff's office for almost 10. I started my own business downtown Leavenworth. It was at 7th in Ottawa. I ran that business for about 15 years, and then I sold it. So I've got a good base of knowledge for how things go downtown, what it takes to run a business in this town. I sold my business, moved away, moved to New Jersey for about 5 years, and then I moved back and I started a bit the same type of business again. I do IT managed services. This time we're located in Lansing because it was hard to find space in Leavenworth that was usable for what we do, which is mostly office space, but and so I've been a business person or entrepreneur. I serve on Grow Leavenworth County, serve on the United Way, I serve on the Education Foundation, um, Leavenworth Lansing leadership class. So I really am very involved in the community. And I think it's important as a leader to give back to our community, especially if we're going to live here. And one of the things that has really disappointed me is the fact that it seems we cannot grow our downtown. And so knowing, some of the things I do and the budgets I've worked with in the corporate world and the private world, I think there's a number of things that I can bring to the table that would be beneficial to our city. I think we need somebody that has a business mind in there. Not saying that the people there now don't have some type of business mind, but I think as an entrepreneur doing what I do, starting businesses, that I take things from a different view. And I think that we need to grow this city. We certainly can't tax ourselves to prosperity, and we can't cut ourselves to prosperity. And I know everybody wants to cut the budget more and more and more, but at some point it just doesn't work anymore.
Mhm. Well, you kind of already touched on this. Next question, what do you see as the most important challenges facing the city today, and how do you propose to address those?
Yeah, so our biggest challenge is, we are the first city of Kansas, and we should be a beacon of light. And right now, I just don't believe that we are. The downtown seems to be dying. I think we've gained 300 people in the last couple of years, which is not enough. We've built 28 houses in the last 7 years. So we're not growing enough. The downtown is empty. Um, I don't want to insult anybody, but we have hobby businesses down there. We need businesses that are going to bring more people. We need an experience downtown. We need a reason for people not to go to Weston, not to go to the Legends. And so we have to figure out how to do that. But the most important thing is we have to be open for business. Because if we're not open for business, if we're not finding ways to work with people, if we're not finding ways to solve problems, and we're just treating people like we're not providing good customer service, and we're not trying to help them start their businesses or work with their businesses, provide feedback on how they can solve the problem, and try and let them figure it out on their own, then people aren't going to come here. If there's no businesses downtown, there's no reason for people to come, and there's no reason for our community to continue to grow. The other problem we have is we're being taxed out of our homes. I talk to people all the time, and this is one of the reasons I ran for county commissioner last year, is that people are being taxed out of their homes. Now, we have to understand, once again, the county has bills to pay and the costs are going up. So I don't believe, having looked at that budget and our budget, that there's a lot of fat there. I think there's been a lot of things trimmed. We have to grow the tax base and we have to grow it responsibly, and we have to build houses and we have to bring more people to our community. And that is how we're going to be successful.
Well, how should the city approach economic development and job creation in the next few years?
So that's a great question because as I sat at the commission meeting last week and Griff Martin voted against the budget because he wanted to defund LCDC. The county commission has talked about defunding LCDC. Neither has a good plan for economic development outside of that. We're paying Penny to be a part-time economic development person as well as assistant city manager. And that is a position that only builds and grows through relationships, going to conferences, meeting people, meeting developers, building relationships that build trust, that draw people to come here. People want to work with people they're comfortable with. And if you're not doing it full time, then you're not doing it at all, really. If the city thinks they're going to hire an economic development director, they're paying LCDC $5,600 a year, or not 56, 50, $56,000 a year. They're going to hire an economic developer for over six figures, 100 plus benefits, and you're getting one person who's now has to then go in to start to build those relationships, which is going to take years. I think LCDC is a great organization. I do sit on that board too, because it's built up of private businesses, philanthropists who love our community. I know it's been painted poorly lately by people who don't understand it, but we're all in it just to help grow our community. And we're private businesses that are donating our time as well as our money to help grow our community. And we need to lean into the organizations that exist and try to redevelop the wheel and spend more money in places. We could provide that organization more money or a little bit more money if possible to continue to do what they're doing. Lisa Hack is doing a great job. I mean, you can look what's going on in Tonganoxie. The other thing is we need to make sure that the K5 project, if we can get it started before 2032 and we get it started sooner, that will increase traffic from the second business park to 435, which will bring businesses in. And maybe we can start to build that park. I'm not a big fan of the fact that we put a business park next to a business park. I think that's kind of strange. The residential housing behind it is odd because it makes people uncomfortable. So we have to find a very unique niche business to go in there, but we need to start to fill up that business park. And we need to find places where we can grow responsibly. I don't want to say that we want to become the next Johnson County because people love the green space. We love our rural sense, our rural community, but at the same time, what we need to do is understand how we're trying to grow and make sure that we're following some predestined plan and not just faking it till we make it.
Okay. What is your perspective on the current state of city services, public safety, roads, parks, etc., and where do you see room for improvement?
Great questions. I think that if we start from first responders, I think that our fire department is underpaid. I think our police department is underpaid. Once again, we can't pay them more if we don't have money coming in. Uh, but we are barely competitive with the cities around us in that regards. The police department is running at 9 people short right now. The fire department wants to unionize because they don't even have the quality gear that they need to perform their duty, let alone the pay that they recently just got an increase. But so we need to make sure that we're taking care of our first responders. They put their lives on the line. They run into danger when the rest of us do not. I ran into danger for a long time. I don't wear that badge anymore, but they definitely deserve more respect. Our roads, they could be better. But once again, we can't. We are doing what we can with what we have, but we could do more if we could find a way to bring more businesses in and increase the sales tax revenue. During the COVID years, there was an abundance. If you look at the budget then, we had a spike of money coming in. A lot of it was ARPA money that we were able to use for things, but we have to find ways to definitely to increase revenue so that we can do better, have better roads. I know the last couple of city commission meetings, the people over at Oak and Seventh have complained about the rain ditch or the ditches and the creeks behind them and their houses falling in because of the gutters and the sewer system. And, those roads are closed right now or are being blocked off, but there's no money to repair them. And that's sad. People have their homes there. Even though those people want to move, their values are going down because we're not taking care of those citizens. And that is paramount for us is to take care of the people that we have. And so when I hear people say, well, we got to cut more out of the budget, where are you going to cut it from? We're going to take more services away? That's a sad approach. We should be open for business, and I can't say that enough. Uh, one of the things that came up the last commission meeting is there's $16,000 in the budget for cake, donuts, and coffee. And somebody said, well, we need to cut that out of the budget. I don't want to be spending, I don't want taxpayer dollars going to that. But the organization is still a business. We still have employees that need to be treated well because we want them to continue to work there. That is a small piece of the budget. Cutting that out doesn't lower our taxes at all. It makes our employees feel worse. So we need to make sure that we understand what we're cutting and where we're cutting. We want employee retention. We want people because training people costs more money. So we want to make sure that we're treating the employees good, that they're being cared for well, and that they're not trying to go to Johnson County or wherever else to get more money. So to me, that's a small, tiny piece of the puzzle that is insignificant. We look at the current infrastructure. We need to think about where do we want to be in 10 years? And I think part of the problem and the part of the reason that we're at where we're at is that nobody really thought about that far ahead. What do I need to solve today? What do I need to solve tomorrow? Not what do I need to solve 5 years from now? I'm not going to be on the commission then. Or at least that's the thinking. And that's the wrong type of thinking. In business all the time when I work with customers, especially in the IT world, we're trying to solve problems that are years away, or at least be building towards a plan. And so by building towards a plan, we're not putting these band-aid fixes that cost money in place that is wasting money. If our plans get to a Z and we're spending money on A, B, C because we don't have Z in mind, then we're just wasting money. So we want to make sure that we're very thrifty in our with our dollars and that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck. I do agree with that. We don't want to be spending $10,000 on widgets. We want to make sure we know what we're buying and that we're being cautious with it. I interviewed Pat Kitchens I do a podcast every week, and it's nonpartisan. I try to talk with leaders in our community. It's called Sorrel Solutions. It's on YouTube. And Pat Kitchens was on last week. We haven't put this video up yet. It should go up next week. We're always a week behind, but he talked about his department, and when they need something, the city is always really good about getting it for him. But he was very diligent in, I have to make sure that it's something that we need. And we want to make sure that all our department heads are thinking that way. There are nice to haves, and then there are needs. Let's make sure that we're taking care of those needs first and accomplishing what the mission is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How would you strengthen relations between the city commission and other local entities, schools, county, nonprofits, and businesses?
One of the things that I've learned over the years is each of these cities seem to be somewhat animus towards the others. And everybody wants to take the approach of, what have you done for me lately? And the county is having trouble with Tonganoxie because the mayor doesn't like the commissioner, and the Lansing and Leavenworth are battling over businesses. And we got to realize what's good for one of us is good for all of us, and that the county as a whole is going to benefit from it. And so we need to start to work to strengthen those relationships through networking, through getting to know these other individuals. Because once you get to know people on a personal level, that's where trust begins. I think I have a pretty good relationship with a number of the city individuals around here. I think I have a pretty good relationship with the city commission. The city commission or the county commission is somewhat unique because you have a county commissioner that's quite animus towards our mayor, which I think is odd. Because those are relationships, those are people you have to work with. And when we start to turn it into partisan battles because we don't like somebody's politics, we lose sight of the fact that there's a certain decorum that's required in these positions, a certain amount of respect. And we have to realize we're all working towards the same goal and rowing in the same direction. And so that once again is built through relationships, which I have a lot of really good relationships with a lot of influential people in other cities, and a lot of it from my time in LCDC, getting to know people. And I think what I would bring to the table is just the ability to build bridges more so than anything.
Okay. Is that what you would say sets you apart from other candidates?
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, when I ran for county commission, I ran as United Kansas because although I am a conservative, um, I didn't fit in with the nastiness that I think is in our Leavenworth Conservative Party, which is sad to me. Um, I would say I'm fiscally conservative, probably a little more socially progressive. Some that probably turns people off when you say progressive, but I think I am more middle of the road. I think that I understand when we find ways to compromise, everybody's not happy. But that's okay. If everybody is really happy, then somebody's not compromising. And so we have to find ways where we come towards the middle and I give up a little bit, you give up a little bit, and we find some common ground that we're okay with. And that's where we start to work to get to know each other from. One of the great things from my podcast is the ability to talk to people who normally wouldn't talk with me, um, and to get to see the other side because all we do is we want to. It seems like today people just want these echo chambers of people who view the world at the way they do, and that's a problem. We need to have our views challenged on a regular basis. That's how growth happens. And so we need to destroy these echo chambers and understand that, you know, a little bit of diversity is good, and a little bit of different viewpoints is important. Um, One of the things that kind of troubles me with the city commission is every seat's at large. So how do we make sure that every part of the city is represented? How do we make sure that, I mean, it's very altruistic to believe that, we're all concerned about the whole city, but I think we're always a little bit more biased towards our neighborhood. And if you don't live on the north end and there's not somebody running from the north end, how do we make sure that they're represented? So it's important that we get out, we talk to the people, we understand, meet them where they're at, and try to represent the whole city. I think we have to fix that at some point, but we have what we have right now, and I think it's important that we try to find ways to meet all the residents where they're at.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else that you would like listeners to know?
Um, I think it's important that we look at all the tools in the tool bag when we find ways to bring developers in. I know that RHID is a bad word sometimes around here, but there are ways to utilize these tools to support our community. We need to find ways to solve residents' problems. We need to provide good customer service to our citizens. And we need to remember that we have to take our personal hats off and that we represent everybody, not just those people that agree with us. And so even when it comes to the hard questions, um, we have to understand that we're representing everybody.
Okay. Thank you so
I
much for your
appreciate the
time.
time. Thank you.